Beautiful Tuesday morning right here in Lagos, and this is the Breakfast Cafe. Olumide will say the most important meal of the day. Well, if you are game, let's get this show on the road. In the meantime, I am Vivian Oguche, and apologies for coming up a little bit behind schedule. It was due to technicalities. But hey, let's get this on the road. But before that though, hey, Olumide, how are you?
Good morning, how are you doing?
Good, you look dapper today.
Always looking dapper. And I love your beautiful color combination and you know, the whole flower design and everything. Good morning, I am Olumide Shokoya. Welcome to the Breakfast Cafe. So let's start off with the newspaper review. We'll be back in a moment. Welcome back. This is the newspaper review on High Impact Television. Quickly, let's start off with the Punch newspaper this morning. It says, no vacancy comment. ACF, Atiku, and others lampoon presidency over 2027 poll. We have just one writer to that story. Nigerians can vote you out in 2027. Atiku wants presidency. Akume can decide who will contest poll. This is coming from PDP. I mean, talks about 2027 already in the air.
George Akume, the SGF, has been saying for days now that there is no vacancy, that the North should wait until President Tinubu has completed his second term. Is that what you say in a democracy? You
can't even say that. You're not even allowed to say that. And that is why Atiku is saying that people can actually vote you out if you do not perform. I mean, that's what happened to Trump, who contested the first time, he won, but he lost the second time. Now he came back. He's back again. So that's how true democracy works. If you do well, you will be brought back, and if you don't, well.
Even the Ghanaian president, the president-elect.
Yes.
He was president, he was voted out, tried and tried and tried again, and he's back.
And he's back.
Yeah.
All right, quickly, let's move on. We have this one just beside the masthead. It says, Nigeria's debt profile, burden for current and next generation. I'll take that again. Nigeria's debt profile, burden for current and next generation. Of course, we know who is always vocal about this. It's former President Olusegun Obasanjo, and it's quite bold and, might I say, scary statements coming from former President Olusegun
And you know
Obasanjo.
why he has the authority to say this? During his tenure, he cleared the debt.
He cleared the debt.
He cleared every single debt Nigeria owes. So if he speaks about clearing debt, you should listen. And
this reminds me of a video I watched of former Minister of Finance, Okonjo-Iweala, who said corruption will fight you. When you fight corruption, it fights you back.
Guess who said this before during his inaugural speech? Former President Muhammadu Buhari.
He said it also?
Yes!
Wow. So it's
during his inaugural speech, when he was first elected as civilian president, he said, if you fight corruption, corruption will fight you back.
Quite interesting.
Yeah.
Now we have this one just above the masthead. 3,270 Nigerians gained American citizenship via military service. It's coming from the US. I have a friend also who gained that also. So
that's good.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's on page 13 of the Punch newspaper. Beside that, Keyamo FCCPC differ on Airpeace probe. That's on page 21. Airpeace has been quite vocal at this point, talking about airline operators not really making profit due to the economic hardships and all that. Now, moving on, we have tax reform, National Assembly caucus meetings, delayed talks with AGF, that's the Attorney General of the Federation. That's on page 2. A lot of talks about this tax reform. We hope at the end of the day, if it's been passed, it will be favorable not just to the South or the East, but to the North, who have always been vocal and rejected the bill. Now, moving on, we have a picture here. It looks quite an interesting, a new road, and it says here, Sanwo-Olu opens Ifako Road and Bridge. Quite interesting. Beautiful, I must say. Very, very beautiful. Kudos to Governor Sanwo-Olu for that. Now, moving on, we have Yuletide, Southeast, South-South airfares jump to 287,800 naira. I'm talking about air tickets. It's quite interesting. I mean, there was a time when you could actually book Lagos to Abuja 7,000, 10,000, 15,000.
That seemed like 1,000 years ago.
Seems like 1,000. Now we are seeing 287. I remember, I think 2 years ago when I traveled to Ghana, the ticket was, I mean, to and fro was 150.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
And then look at what you just read. Just to the southeast or to the south-south,
yes,
you're paying 287,000.
This is where we're at. Well, we'll keep our fingers crossed. We'll keep a positive mind that there'll be a turnaround. Yeah. Still on Daily Farotimi, we have here defamation. Farotimi gets 50 million naira bail and to submit passport. You know, there's a lot of brouhaha about this, but yesterday he got a bail condition, and of course that's the report we're getting now. 50 million naira bail. I wonder why it's that high, but well, the judiciary knows best. And lastly, Ajayi files suit to stop Ayedatiwa as Ondo governor. Well, I think it has how many days to that? Has it passed? I don't think it has. I think it's about 90 days you have to contest or thereabout the governorship or anybody, you know.
At the tribunal.
In the tribunal. So, well, it's within his right to contest if he feels there has been some discrepancies during the election. But I think that's all we have right now coming from the Punch newspaper this morning.
I got the Guardian here. Major headline: 1.1 million displaced as 77% IDPs, that is the internally displaced persons, seek to return home. This is coming from the MBS. Page 6 has details of this. I'm glad that the IDPs feel safe enough and are wanting to return home. I do hope that they get, you know, very good places to resettle. Let's continue with the front page of the Guardian. This says that federal government assures Nigerians of positive economic outlook in 2025. Amen. Let's see where you can get details of that. Page 3 is where you can get details of that. I'm reading the Guardian, yes. The other story here says tax earnings from companies up by 39% to 5.22 trillion naira amid survival concerns. Page 6 has details of that. Southeast senators backtrack on reform bills and urge wider consultation. This is surprising and it deserves a second take. It says Southeast senators backtrack on tax reform bills, urge wider consultation. Olumide, does this make you scratch your head?
Well,
Southeast governors, or senators rather, are backtracking. They are saying, wait a little bit, maybe we should reconsider this.
What about the North? You know, the first message we got was from the North.
Yeah.
And these guys in the North, they said they don't want this.
Yeah, so but the Southeastern senators were together with the Southwestern senators.
Yes.
But now they're saying, let's think about this. Do you think the North might eventually carry the day?
It's not. It doesn't have to do with the North governor. It has to do with what is going on in the House. But I'm glad that, you know, there's a backtrack and there's wider consultations. So in essence, whatever comes out has to be better than what was, you know, presented at the House.
And then if you're wondering what that picture is on the front page of The Guardian, it is the very popular Tompolo. He is a high chief now. And this is like a cleansing ceremony. You want details of that, just grab a copy of The Guardian. And it looks like that is about it. That wraps it up for us on the front page of The Guardian.
All right, quickly, let's move on to the Daily Trust newspaper this morning. Still on the... Okay, this one is different, right? Now, it's actually still on the tax reform. Tax reform, Southeast Senate caucus seek wider consultation. Bill attempts to usurp RMAFC's responsibilities. So these are some of the loopholes that have been identified, you know, in the bill. The bill attempts to usurp RMAFC's responsibilities. So,
the RMAFC seems to be the
Revenue Mobilization and Fiscal Commission.
Is that it?
Yes.
Okay.
That's it. Well, I think that would also be put into, and I'm glad, you know, the word there is wider consultation, so that more people will come in this time, different people will come in and air their views. And, you know, all right, we have Michael from Abuja. Michael is a friend of the house. So glad to have you. It's been a while, you know, we heard from you.
Hi, Michael.
Michael, good morning. Michael, are you there?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Vivian. Good morning, Olumide.
Morning, Michael.
Good morning.
Such a pleasure to hear your voice again after such a long time. How are you?
I will be trying to reach you guys. You guys are not being alright. Even right now, I'm watching with my phone on Facebook.
Michael,
Apologies for that.
apologies, but we appreciate you. One of these days, we are going to be gifting you with something good. So watch out. So please, what are your contributions this morning?
Well, I want to contribute to the article that Nigeria will vote you out in 2027.
Go ahead.
Hello?
Yeah, go ahead, Michael. We can hear you.
Okay, the question is, yes, we saw what happened in Ghana recently. Election was held on Saturday. From Sunday, we're already, because somehow I tried to monitor what was happening, we're seeing results directly from the electoral body in Ghana. Can we get this in Nigeria? This is Nigeria where election will happen Saturday before we start seeing what is happening from Monday, at times Tuesday, at times election center will come on there and went to break or to do their own things. Can we just get this kind of a thing? At least I'm somehow ashamed that if we can get this kind of things done in Ghana, our neighbors, just our neighbors here, and we are finding it difficult. When those kind of things when would that things be done right way in Nigeria? Like we see, apart from Goodluck Jonathan of 2015 that President Buhari, see what happened in Ghana. Everywhere was peaceful. We see people coming out to cast their vote peacefully, going home. The cartel, everything, we never hear of, Bob killing, all of that. In social police measure, or maybe people threatening not to come out to vote if you are voting for social party.
All right, Michael. Are you aware that just yesterday...
It's not happening in the US. It's happening in Ghana, just Ghana.
Michael, are you aware that INEC says they were the one that taught Ghana how to do some good
They
election?
inspired Ghana.
Yeah.
It's just talk. It's just talk. How can you teach somebody something that you cannot make happen in your country? Can INEC assure this kind of election in Nigeria? What just happened in Ghana on Saturday? Can INEC assure us this kind of a thing can happen in 2027? When those state election is still in court, almost every, even up to local government will be going to court.
Well, thank you very much, Michael. You've asked $1 billion question.
Thank you,
Thank
Michael.
you very much.
All right, so our guest analyst, Dr. Adedayo, has jumped on the show. Punctual as usual, he is a socio-political technocrat and always a delight to have on the show. Doctor, good morning.
Yes, good morning and thanks for your compliments. I
Compliments of the
actually
season.
jumped in and I actually jumped in at the right time when Michael was talking.
Yeah, you want to react?
And honestly speaking, I weep for my country. I sincerely weep for my country. And I wish I will be able to see something else that will make me happier, because immediately I finish now, I'm going to Ibadan to receive an award by some group of people because of what I've been doing in the nation. And I thank them very, very much for following me.
Well, congratulations,
You
Doctor.
see-
Congratulations.
Yeah. Thank you very much. I will show you the award next time we're on air together.
Yay.
You know,
Okay.
we'll display it for you.
All
You see, it's a pity when you see things like this happening in Ghana. It's a pity for Nigeria, and a kudos for them in Ghana, because they are now showing us that they are moving away from that toga of being a third world country. That at any point in time, they can control themselves. I read what the losing candidate said, that even before the announcement of the result by their own version of electoral commission, from their own result collation, they have seen that Magma, what's his name?
Mahama
had won, and there is no point for them wasting their time further.
Wow.
I underlined that when I was reading it. No point wasting their time further. That means they are going to save a lot of money from unnecessary court proceedings. That means, as a sitting president, he was not ready to spend money in influencing the judiciary and the Electoral Commission for obtaining the result for him. Unlike here, whereby we have the judiciary validating series of electoral inconsistencies. You can go back to my independence broadcast to the nation for last year, 2023. Just Google it. Dr. Dayo, just Google it, independence broadcast 2023 by Dr. Dayo. It will come up on your YouTube. Validation of electoral violations. That was the topic, yeah. The judicial validation of electoral violations.
Dr. Adedayo Kaide, if I may come in, I would like to take you back to Ghana also. Ghana have had their own fair share of, let's look at what Jay Rawlings did to while.
Have we not had enough? We don't say that. Have we not had enough?
But what Jay Rawlings did
to guts.
Listen, my brother. Nigeria, yes, it's true, but we have had enough. We have had enough. Forget about Rawlings. Don't let us talk about that past. Let us look at what is happening there now. What is happening in our country? Are we not supposed? Are we not? Look at what our INEC said that they taught them. Igayenko, and so what? And so what? Now can't you now take a lesson from them? We have seen parents after nurturing their children to adulthood, they come back to also learn from such children. Let me tell you this. Look at your phone. Your phone. To what extent can you use all those things inside your phone? But give it to your child of about 5 years. You'll be learning from such a child.
You're right.
A friend of mine was just telling me last week, he said, Dayo, I wanted to remove something from my TikTok. He couldn't remove it, this and that. He now gave that phone to his child. And under few seconds, the judge said, okay, Daddy, how do you want it? Is it that only you should be viewing it or nobody should view it again?
Wow.
He said, the guy manipulated it. I said, yes, that is why they are our children. So what have you learned from Ghana? Instead of you showing the level of kwashiorkor in your mouth and saying you are the one that taught them.
Well,
and so what?
Well, Doctor, let's not be hard on Professor Mahmood.
We got to be hard because he had deceived us a lot.
Yeah.
He deceived somebody like me because during the last election, he said he was going to transfer all those things electronically and nothing was going to stop it. He showed us. He showed everybody. And somebody like me went on here, Ghanaian support for him, that listen, this thing is going to change this samurai. Let us believe in this man. At the end of the day, what happened? It brought another thing to our electoral lexicon.
You know,
a glitch.
Glitch. I was going to say glitches. You have this even in the U.S. election when Donald Trump lost. He kept saying that he was cheated out of his victory and all of that. So Nigeria does not have a monopoly on all of these things, But I would
when
love.
There is a glitch. When there is a glitch, okay, listen. As we are now, if there is a glitch between you and me, especially when it comes to connection, what do? You stop the conversation and you let say, please, let us quickly go on a break.
Doctor?
For you to be able to solve the click.
Doctor, can you hold your thoughts? Let's take Michael.
When they went on break?
Let's take Michael again, Doctor. I'll come back.
When they went on break?
Doctor, let's just hold your thoughts. I'll take Michael and come back to you. Michael, welcome back. Go ahead.
Is that a glitch? Is that a glitch?
Michael, go ahead.
I want to what the guest analyst is saying. Hello?
Yes, Michael, go ahead.
Michael.
Yes. I'm in support of what the guest analyst is saying. Professor Mahmoud Yakub doesn't have what it takes to talk at this moment, telling us that yes, we'll touch them. You cannot say somebody what you cannot make to happen in your country.
Yeah, Michael, but you see, you can make your observation like this without saying kwashiorkor in his mouth. That's what I'm saying. We can be hard but very civil. Yeah?
I'm still being civil.
Okay. All right, Michael, go ahead.
Michael, go ahead, please.
I didn't say was serving kwashiorkor, but it was a discipline.
If I left Sabbath period, yes, we taught them. Where did they learn it for? Because it has not made it happen in Nigeria. Assuming this kind of thing has happened in Nigeria in the previous election, we say yes, it has happened in Ghana. We will accept that to taught them. Out of 100% of election corrected in Nigeria by this INEC, 90% of it they are in court. And you are telling us you taught these people how to conduct elections. How do you want us to believe you? We cannot believe it because we are not seeing anything related to this, what happened in Ghana and in Nigeria. You know, you shouldn't be coming out to tell us that we taught them.
All right.
Even the 2027 we are waiting upon to come. We are not even sure that we can get this change we desire as Nigerians. Because of the body called INEC. And you are telling us that we think you taught them.
All right. Michael, thank you so much. We appreciate your contribution. Doctor, let me quickly draw your attention to this story on the front page of the Vanguard. It says, anti-corruption war should begin from leadership. Guess who this is coming from? Former President Olusegun Obasanjo. What's your take on this, sir?
You know, former President Olusegun Obasanjo is still our father. So I will not refer to his own statement, but make my own statements.
That's a wise choice.
And that is why I will also refer you to one of my write-ups. I don't know whether it's on YouTube. I'm not too sure. I said the topic is a bewildered nation. A bewildered nation. Ditto, the connivance of the leadership against his people. That's the topic. A bewildered nation. The connivance of the leadership against his people. And how do I mean here? Part of it has to do with not doing, or rather, do as I say, but not as I do.
Yeah.
Yes, they have all been talking about corruption, fighting corruption here and there. I mean, the leaders, and you know, I always like defining my kind of leader, inclusive of political office holders, religious leaders, both Christian, Muslim, traditional, and all that. Traditional leaders, economic leaders, and all sorts of leaders, they have all connived together against the people. And what instrument are they using? They have all conceptualized weaponization of poverty to keep on subjugating the people.
All right, Doctor.
And the
Okay.
moment,
Go ahead.
the moment they are now making people not to be able to access good livelihood, they know that there is no way people can be able to interrogate them scientifically. Scientifically, in terms of getting out that data to interrogate them. Now tell me, since they have been fighting corruption, what happened? I will refer you to the story of what's his name again? This former EFCC chairman that was removed, arrested, and
Bauer.
and they now
Bauer.
no, but the one before Bauer,
Magu.
Magu.
Okay.
What has happened to that case? Go back to National Assembly. The issue of off the mic. What has happened to it?
Yeah.
Go to that National Assembly, the Senate, the leader of the Senate, president of the Senate, former governor. What happened to him? He was already, his case of corruption was already in court. Being led by what's his name now? This present aviation minister.
Keyamo.
Keyamo.
Yes. What happened? Oshiomhole came out. He said anybody who has even stolen a sinner, the moment you join their party, you become a saint.
I remember
And
this.
immediately he jumped. Immediately he jumped to APC. And what happened to him? He was made a minister. He had an issue. He had an accident. Ordinary headache. He couldn't go to the hospital. He said he bid for his state. He traveled out of the country to go and treat ordinary headache. So are they really fighting corruption like Baba Obasanjo said? Yes, Baba Obasanjo might have his own issues with Nigerians. No doubt about it. But that does not mean that we should throw away the bad water with the baby.
No, but the thing is, I think you are getting Obasanjo wrong. What he said is that this war against corruption must begin from the leadership. I think he's throwing a shot against them.
Exactly what you are now saying. You are now saying I should guess who said it.
Oh.
I should guess who said it.
No, don't depend on.
That's why I said-
Yeah. No, don't just focus on that. We are talking about the statement itself, which I think
That's why I decided not to focus on it. That's
Yeah.
why I decided not to focus on it.
yeah, I think
Tell
if
you about how they are fighting corruption. Are they really fighting corruption? Okay, let me also give you this. You remove fuel subsidy. And you say you have made a profit of $20 million, and then you are now borrowing $2.2 million. Tell me, what's the rationale behind that?
Yeah.
Is that not corruption? Is that not corruption?
Olumide, you know you've always had a problem.
Now listen, who are now going to fight these leaders? And that's why I now came up with that concept that they are using. When people cannot have good means of livelihood, there is no way they will be able to interrogate these leaders scientifically. It is because God has given some of us grace to be able to hide our cries whenever we are on screen like this. Do you understand? We have been able, God has given us grace to hide our ill feelings, whatever we might be going through, to hide it, and then be able to come to the screen with smiling faces that we are now using to hide what we have behind us, and then be able to educate the people that whatever we are going through, we must learn how to emancipate ourselves from their problems.
Thank you very much, Dr. Adedaya Kadi. I'd like to draw your attention to this emerging story, the case of defamation between Are Afe Babalola and Dele Farotimi. Now, so the court yesterday granted Dele Farotimi 50 million naira bail, and they seized this passport. On the Vanguard, you could see a picture of him in handcuffs. It's so funny, Dele Farotimi in handcuffs,
I saw the picture.
yet when a former
it.
governor was taken to court by the EFCC, he was in his agbada with no handcuffs, but that's by the side. I mean, what would you say regarding this case? I'd like us to do a comparison. Let's look at the case of Femi Falana and Very Dark Man. Let's look at their case and Aref Afebalola and Dele Farotimi. What conclusions can we draw from these two cases?
It is nothing other than use of brute force on the people, especially those that are always on the side of the truth and on the side of the people. Anybody who is on the side of the truth and the people must always expect that. And I am sure my friend, my brother, Dele, also knows this. And let me also tell you this. It becomes an interesting thing with two sides of the sword. Okay? If a brute force are not being used on him, perhaps, very likely, 90% likely, that his book wouldn't have even been known. Unlike now, that is the best-selling book in Amazon. Okay? Now, let's leave that aside. You get the example of how he was anchored to the court yesterday. And those that have stolen us deep, going to court with their agbada and then being even given special treatment in court. That is to tell you the kind of a people we are. Remember, I referred you to my 2023 independence broadcast. Validation of violations. Validation of violations. What has happened to Farotimi yesterday, being anchored, is nothing other than validation of violations. Because what has he done?
It's a case of defamation. Can we at least focus?
Listen,
No, let's. Can we not talk about this as if it's a witch hunt, please? I understand the sentiments and all of that, but is this a case of defamation or not? Why is Dele? Why is he in prison? Did he not defame somebody?
The question is also this: one, what he has written, are they also true or not?
So does he have evidence or not? Since we are asking each other questions now, say the person who was defamed, Afe Babalola, said, produce the evidence of what you said I did.
I don't want to mention, listen, I don't want to mention Afe Babalola because it's also, whatever I might have done, is still our father in Ekiti.
How can you not mention him when you're talking about him?
But we know, when I talk now, you know who I'm referring to now.
Yeah, but let's call his name. Let's call his name.
Now, Farotimi, whatever Farotimi might have written, he came up in that particular book with hard data. He was giving dates, instances, and he was also referring to case number. He was also mentioning names that we can always refer from. That is one. Two, the defamation there, is it also criminal? Is it criminal defamation,
or is it civil? Yeah.
And if you can also remember, Lagos State has removed that from the loss of the land. From the loss of the land. Now, when you're now talking about jurisdiction, the jurisdiction where is Farotimi supposed to be tried.
So you see, when you're towing this line, when you're talking about jurisdiction, it makes a lot of sense. But let's also focus on the matter at hand. It's a case of defamation and not witch hunting.
But is it criminal defamation? Is it criminal defamation? When it is not criminal defamation, how do you handle that according to the Constitution?
Well, so you already said in Lagos. You say in Lagos is not criminal, but in Ekiti, is it criminal? Is that why he was moved from Lagos to Ekiti? These are questions that legal practitioners should answer.
The question is it legal? Is it legal to also move him from Lagos to Ekiti?
That's a good question. Yes.
Is it also legal? Do you understand?
That's a good question. Yes.
Issues that we need to look at. We are seeing a situation whereby a country's president was addressing the congregation and it was being piloted with I think water or so, and nothing happened. Nothing happened. So why are we so arrogant?
Yeah, but nobody wrote very damaging things about these presidents in a book. A book, it is everlasting evidence, everlasting testament.
Where are you supposed to seek redress? And then what are the processes for you to seek redress? Are you following? Did you actually follow the process? Did you follow the legal procedures? Did you? There are procedures.
There are procedures. That's
It's not somebody that will run away. He's a public figure. Okay, go to court. As a senior legal luminary, what are you supposed to do? You go to court, and there are procedures which you yourself you know that you should follow.
So who should you blame?
Why arresting the young child?
Who should you blame? It wasn't Chief Babalola that arrested Dele Farotimi. It was the police that arrested him. Who should you blame? The complainant or the police? It wasn't Afe Babalola that arrested Dele Farotimi. He complained. The police arrested him. So who should you blame? You know, doctor, we should do a part 2. We should no, we need to wrap up, doctor. We need to wrap up.
I would like to chip in something.
Okay, please.
There is no smoke without fire.
Yeah.
No smoke without fire.
All right, doctor.
We never go to that level without being given instructions. Yes.
All right, Dr. Adedayo Kayode, we really have to go. But in closing, there's something I would like to ask you in closing. You said Dele Farotimi, whoever is fighting for the people should expect this. So I would like to ask you in closing, it's a rhetorical question. You are also fighting for the people. So are you expecting something similar? But thank you very much.
You see, I always say that there is nothing high. Dr. Kayode will not say, especially when it concerns the truth. Because since 2015, I have made up my mind to use the rest of my life to serve this nation. And I have never looked back since then. And that was even why these people are trying to give me an award in Ibadan today.
Oh, and doctor, by the way, we wish you a safe journey. Doctor, we wish you a safe trip to Ibadan. And please enjoy the ceremony. And like you promised, please bring the award to High Impact so that we'll celebrate with you. On that note, we thank you so much for your insights. Well appreciated. And until we see you again, doctor, have a very blessed day. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of your day.
You're welcome.
Bye. So that was Dr. Dayo Adedayo. He is a sociopolitical technocrat, and we've been talking about, you know, matters concerning Nigeria, as it were. We'll take a short break. When we come back, the show continues. Stay with us.
Welcome back. It's still the Breakfast Cafe, and this segment is called Views from the Net. We throw out a question earlier on, and we get your opinions and your thoughts about it. You can also take part in the conversation by calling our phone lines. Now, the question for today is, have you ever thought of giving up before, and how did you overcome it? Quite an interesting one. I think I have had this thought millions and millions
Like
of times.
over and over again. Yeah.
I mean, but it's what makes you a better person, or what makes you learn is the ability to overcome this personal persecution, if I may call it. It's a personal persecution to yourself, wanting to give up. You know, and sometimes just at that point when you're about to give up, that is when you should add more effort to it, and you realize that, you know, it wasn't something. Yes, nobody is perfect. Nobody who won't face obstacles that might even overwhelm you, but, you know, the ability, the will to actually, you know, they say tough times don't last, tough people do.
Yeah, and then there's a saying that there is always a light at the end of the tunnel. In fact, there's a tribe that once they don't have challenges in their life, life is not normal. They're sick for challenges, you know.
Well,
yeah, really.
Relative to Nigerians. Well, let's take this first one. Sarah said, this one actually is from, she said, yeah, several times, actually, especially last month, I always speak to my friend and we talk about it, relieving me of so much on my mind. It's actually Tunde from Bariga. I like that you have a friend that you can actually rely on, talk about certain things, you know, like that.
Yeah, this says, yes, I've thought of giving up, especially when I struggled with academics and battled feelings of not being good enough. But I overcame it by reconnecting with my purpose, my love for creativity, psychology, and understanding myself better, expressing myself through poetry, listening to meaningful music, and leaning on small, intentional acts of love reminded me that challenges are part of growth and not the end of the journey. Modupe from Lagos. Beautiful, Modupe. Thank you.
Beautiful, Modupe. Right. This one says, there are days when I feel like I'm stuck and can't move forward, no matter how hard I try. However, I learned that it is perfectly normal to have days like this, where the path ahead feels unclear. Remember, growth isn't always linear. It's sometimes stepping back to reflect, or giving yourself permission to rest, of course, can be just as valuable as pushing through. Often breaking through comes after moments of stillness or when we least expect them. Trust that these challenging days are part of your journey and will eventually make your success even more meaningful. Fully from Lagos. I know there are days when I just wake up and I don't feel like coming to work. I must be honest at this point. There are some days I just feel tired, and I have to reassure. I have to, let me, if I borrow that word, remotivate myself to come to work. There are days like that. It happens.
It happens. There's something Foley said, and Foley, thank you so much. Such a beautiful comment. Foley said, breakthroughs normally come after a moment of stillness. When you've taken your mind off of it and you're probably not even expecting it. That's when it now comes. Why? Because you're no longer agitated. You're just calm. And because you see this thing about agitation and chaos, it keeps so many things away. So for me, that was a very beautiful one, Foley, thank you. This says, for me, it's about finding meaning in my struggles. I like it. When I feel like giving up, I remind myself of why I'm struggling in the first place. Gosh, this is so good. And then it goes on to say, what am I fighting for? What do I hope to achieve? This helps me stay focused and motivated. Kayode from Egbeda. Kayode, this is so good. Thank you.
And this next one says, I used to feel like I'm not making enough progress with my goals. I got to know that progress, no matter how small, it's still progress. Exactly. Looking through life's eyes, I got to see that we tend to compare ourselves with others or to an idealized version of success. But it is important to remember that each step you take is closer to where you want to be. Celebrate the small wins because they often build the foundation for the larger victories. Be patient with yourself. Progress is often more about consistency than perfection. Progress is always about consistency than perfection.
This is Nathan
Beautiful.
from Aja.
Nathan from Aja.
Awesome. There's
Beautiful.
something Nathan says. Do not compare yourself with others, because see, everybody's journey is separate. We are all on different paths. So do not compare. Gosh, this is beautiful. I'm liking it. This says, I constantly battled self-doubt and it held me back for so long. Self-doubt is something almost everyone faces at some point, especially when you're stepping out of your comfort zone. The key is not to let it define you or stop you from moving forward. My mentor taught me that I recognize that doubt, that I should recognize that doubt is just a feeling, not a fact. Yeah? Doubt is a feeling, not a fact. Reframe your thoughts by focusing on past successes, however small, and reminding yourself that you are capable of far more than you realize. Every time you act despite self-doubt, you strengthen your ability to keep going. Susan from Lagos. Beautiful. You see what she said? You're doing it afraid. Even when you're afraid, you keep going on. You don't stop. It's beautiful. Thank you, Susan.
While there are also times whereby you want to give up, and there are also times we will actually give up, but still come back. We also have to, we need to put that out there. There are times you actually
this is
give
good,
up,
Olumide, yes.
but then you would now come back again. That
Yeah.
is also good. It's even it takes a lot more courage for you to give up and go back. It takes a whole, because now you have a lot of things against you. Now you have a lot of things that you're thinking. Now you have a lot of mistakes and failures that you have to now take on. You have to wear them like an armor.
And the thing is, you learn from your failures. You learn from mistakes. The next time, you won't do it what caused you failure in the past. And then there was something a gift said about struggles. That is growth. That's how you grow. You don't grow in your comfort zone.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's when you face the struggles that you grow.
All right, now this one says, I used to be overwhelmed by the number of things I need to do and don't know where to start. When everything feels overwhelming, I learned from my mom to always break things down into smaller, more manageable pieces. Start by prioritizing the most urgent task and focus on one thing at a time. Often simply making a to-do list, of course, or creating a schedule can give you a sense of control and direction. Don't be afraid to take a break when you need it. It is okay to pace yourself. The key is progress, not perfection. Feyi Sarah from Covenant University. The key is progress, not perfection.
That's the second person that is saying that.
Yes.
Progress, not perfection. This one said, I failed at something important and I didn't know how to bounce back from it. With the help of friends, I learned that failure isn't the end. It's part of the process. Some of the most successful people have failed multiple times before finding their breakthrough. This is so true. And he says, what matters most is how you respond. Perspective. Take time to reflect on the experience. Learn from it and use that knowledge to adjust your approach. Remember, resilience is built by learning to rise every time you fail, and each failure teaches you something crucial for the next step. David from London. Gosh, David, you should be a motivational speaker, I'm telling you.
It reminds me of former President Muhammadu Buhari and how many times he contested.
4.
I mean, he really tried 4 times.
4 times. And there's, you know, we did something on resilience
Yes.
in Banters not too long ago.
Yes.
I'm glad that David brought it back. It's so good. And David re-echoes what Gift has said. You know, what you focus on is what defines you. Focus is the power that is inherent in a man. When you focus on the negative, you get more. But when you focus on the positive, you know. So this one says, I've thought about giving up many times, especially during my early days as an entrepreneur. I faced numerous setbacks, rejections, and failures, which made me doubt my abilities and question my decision to start a business. However, I overcame these feelings by reminding myself why I started in the first place, to pursue my passion and make a difference. I also surrounded myself with supportive people who believed in me and encouraged me to keep going. Wow. Blessing from Ibadan. So your community matters.
Now, this one says, I faced many challenges throughout my career. There have been times when I felt like giving up. However, I learned the hard way that hunger, oh my God, that hunger will finish you if you give up. Quite a motivation. Instead, I try to reframe my challenges as opportunities for growth and learning. I also remind myself that every successful person has faced setbacks and failures, and that is how I respond to these challenges that matters. This is Joy from Unilag. I like that thing.
Yeah.
Failure, hunger.
We finish it.
We finish
So
it.
the difference between a winner and a failure is just perspective.
Just
Because see, these troubles comes to everybody.
Yes, it does.
It is how you respond to it, which is what our contributors have been saying over and over, and I appreciate what they've been telling us. This one says, I've thought about giving up many times, especially when I faced a serious health issue that forced me to re-evaluate my priorities. However, I realized that giving up was not an option. Yeah. Instead, I focused on my recovery and used that experience to learn and grow. I also surrounded myself with loving and supportive people who helped me stay positive and motivated. John from Yabatek. Thank you, John. You know, once you have a community that is pessimistic and is not positive, run away. Yeah, I'm telling you.
Now this one says, I've thought about giving up many times, especially during my early days as an artist. I faced many rejections and setbacks, which made me doubt my abilities and question my decision to pursue a career in the arts. However, I overcame these feelings by reminding myself of the prize at the end of the day, which is becoming one of the best artists in the world. This keeps me going. I see myself where I want to be and I smile, get up and dust the negative feeling off, and I keep on moving. This is Olumide from Mushin.
This is so good. Don't stop, regardless of what people say. Do you know people can be mean, you know, at times? I know our contributors have, they've said it over and over. No successful person got there without multiple failures. Now, there's this American, is it Britain? Britain's Got Talent or something, where you have Simon Cowell and all of that. There was this lady, I can't remember her name, but she was 42 years old when she contested. When she first came, nobody gave her the chance. They were laughing at her. Even the judges, they did not give her the chance until she opened her mouth and sang. She wowed everybody totally. She was the oldest contestant. She won and became an instant sensation, instant celebrity. She never gave up. Don't give up, guys. This one says, for me, it's about celebrating small wins. When I feel like giving up, I remind myself of the small victories I've achieved along the way. This helps me stay motivated and encouraged. Grace from Lagos. This is so good. Thank you, Grace.
You know, it also reminds me of what my mom used to say. There's a quote, I think it's from the Bible. It says, do not despise the days of your small beginnings.
Yes, that's how you go. That's how you grow. That's how you go big.
I actually took to that powerful phrase, and I always, you know, put it in my head. Do not despise the days of your small beginnings. You know, it's quite interesting. If you read about a lot of people, a lot of fashion designers, you find out that they faced a whole lot. If you read about Tina Turner and a whole lot of them, Michael Jackson, he went through hell under the tutelage of his dad. You know, so many people have gone through so many. If you read about Mike Adenuga and how his company became a conglomerate, you will find out that there were a lot of obstacles and so many things they had to go through. But you know, so that's what makes success sweeter.
Yeah. Talk a little bit about
That's what makes success
Yeah.
sweeter. When you think about all the things you went, the obstacles and every other thing that you went through to get to where you are, you know, it's also what makes success story very sweet, because it's a whole lot. It's a journey.
Yeah.
It's a journey, and you know, when you're traveling, you know, you go through bumps, you go through rough roads, you know. So that's how life is. You go through different bumps, potholes, and all that, but you eventually get to your destination.
I mean, when you talk about very famous painters, artists, you would hear stories of some of them battling dementia or depression or one intense problem or the other. But they keep on, they never give up. And then they become celebrities.
All right, so that's all we have right now from Views from the Net. Stick around, we still have a whole lot more coming up on the Breakfast Cafe.
Yeah.
myopic, myopic, myopic,
Welcome back. This is still the Breakfast Cafe. If you're just tuning in, you're right on time, right on schedule. Now, this is where we discuss topical issues. The topic for today is collaboration between law enforcement and private sector to counter cyber criminal enterprises. Cyber crime right now is big in Nigeria. It's big around the world. Now, so before our guest comes in, I like to give you, we always like to give you a backstory into what we talk about so that you understand the whole scope of the topic. Now, the threat of cyber crime, has become a pervasive and insidious force impacting individuals, businesses, and governments alike. Now, the alarming rise of cyber attacks, data breaches, and online scams has left no one immune, with devastating consequences for personal and economic security. Now, as the stakes grow higher, it has become clear that the fight against cybercrime requires a united front, one that brings together the expertise and resources of law enforcement agencies and private sector organizations. Now, the reality is that cybercrime has become a hydra-headed monster, with new threats emerging daily, from phishing, ransomwares, to identity theft, to nation-state sponsored attack, and the scope and sophistication of cybercrime has reached an unprecedented level. These consequences are dire: financial losses, compromised personal data, and even physical harm. It's estimated that cybercrime costs the global economy over $600 billion annually, with an average person losing thousands of dollars to online scams. Now, in this high-stakes battle, collaboration between law enforcement and the private sector is no longer a nicety. It is a necessity. Quite interesting what cybercrime has gotten these days. I remember there was a report I saw online. A particular Nigerian being investigated abroad. We've had different cases. I remember when the big story of Hush Puppy, came out, and it was a whole lot. But to see that the Federal Bureau of Investigation had been following this case and every other thing. But let's quickly welcome our guest. He came in just at the nick of time, Dr. Wisdom Enag. He is a senior energy consultant and analyst. So glad to have you.
Hi, good morning, Olumide. Good morning, Vivian. Very pleased to be here.
Yes, Doctor, welcome on board.
Good morning. All right, so let's jump right into it. What are the frameworks, or shall I say, what are the platforms that are currently in place to facilitate real-time threat intelligence sharing? Threat intelligence sharing, rather.
Do you want to take that all over?
Yeah, let me take it again. What are the platforms available or frameworks that are currently available to facilitate real-time threat intelligence sharing between law enforcement and, of course, the private sector organizations?
I mean, to be honest, I think there are more of an informal platform, as long as I'm aware. But I don't think they're formal, especially when you talk about private entities with the law enforcement agencies. And the reason I say this is, just think about it in our offices. If something happens, you probably would, talk to maybe a security contact around your vicinity who might or might not pass that to the central database where the information mining is required. Because that's where the central information processing is required and used to solve crimes. That's where they look at the patterns, they understand if the same set of threats are militating against the those around that vicinity, or if it's just a single point threat. So, but I think what just happens is, if you see something, you call a policeman, and he just tells you if anything happens, just give me a call. I'm not sure that trickles down to the central database. But on the other one that you talk about, the agencies, I think within the law enforcement agencies, there should be a more semi-formal approach where information is being shared. But remember, there is this tendency for the security operatives to work in silos. You see that a lot between that supremacy contest between the DSS and the police, for example. And when you see that, you're asking yourself, how does this work when it comes to collaborating and solving real crimes? Because that tendency is a bit something that worries me, that if there's this sort of unhealthy competition, what are the chances of real collaboration or solutions? That's
a very good answer. Dr. Enang, now you talked about this being real crime. Cybercrime is real. I mean, I want us to paint a picture. Yeah? Let's give the viewer a reason for wanting to discuss this topic. Now, I don't know if you've seen the movie Identity Theft. I've seen it. And someone who happened to be a thief stole the identity of a corporate guy who was climbing the corporate ladder, turned his life upside down, lost his job, went broke, had his cards, but his life was just, it came to a standstill. So I need you to talk a little bit about cybercrime and why this is such an important topic to discuss. Have you ever had an issue when it comes to this cybercrime?
No, I mean, personally, I haven't had an issue, but I know people that have. And I think cybercrime goes just beyond the quantifiable losses, like how much you've lost in terms of money, how much is lost. What about the reputation? I'll give you some context, right? When you're filling your US visa form, or maybe in some countries, you're asked to put in your social media handles. And I know there's a number of handles that are being requested for you to fill in. And what they do some background checks. And just recently, I learned that there was a very top actress in Nigeria that got denied visa to a country simply because she was chasing the clout and decided to put something fictitious in there. So my point is, imagine if the cybercrime leads to a ruin of your reputation. A lot of these countries have very protective clause that says we can even deny you visa if we feel that it is counterproductive to allow you into our country and without any reasons whatsoever, and there will be no liability to us for those actions. I think that apart from the UK, where you can appeal a judgment and get it listened to by an immigration court, I don't think most countries would even allow you to do that. So it is important. And because the internet never forgets. So when you're talking about cybercrime, you're talking about a space that is very unforgiving. A lot of things, let's say someone hacks your Facebook account, disables your pass, and writes something nasty, and perhaps about an international government, and you go there to apply for the visa of that government, what are the chances that they won't dig that up? And how would they be able to tell that it wasn't you, especially if you've not been able to succeed in retrieving that account back or getting it deleted from the social media space? Also, what about the people that may take screenshots of those particular posts and keep them for future? And then you also think about it. The complex nature of cybercrime is because most times it is I would like to say borderless, right? It could be committed right here in Nigeria, but it's affecting people in the US. For example, the fraud schemes and the scams and all of that, the romance scams that are done, by those guys, called the Yahoo guys. Those guys, it could be anywhere. So there's a social downside to it. There's a financial downside. There's even a reputational downside as it affects us as a people, because anywhere you go, a lot of people would rather say, I'm African, I'm West African, and then they mention Nigeria last. Because, I mean, some places you go, you find some people feeling that, okay, once I put that name, the chances are someone somewhere has a bad perception. And yes, it is a bad perception, but not a true one in totality. But it is worsened because of the old concept of cybercrime being particularly affiliated unfairly to us, even when other places originate such crimes as well.
All right, thank you very much, Dr. Wisdom Enang. But let's be realistic here. I know maybe for the DSS, they probably have, these gadgets. But if you go to a typical police station today, how many gadgets? We'd even find a computer system there. So to fight cybercrime, how do you even fight cybercrime if you are not even online, if you don't have the equipment to be online to monitor this thing? So do you think this has to do with things regarding budget, political power, or how can we even begin to equip these agencies? The DSS would definitely have some sophisticated gadgets, but what about the police themselves? They are the law enforcement. When you talk about law enforcement,
Right.
Go ahead.
Definitely, you've touched on a very critical point. You've touched on a very critical point, that the need for sophisticated equipment, because there's nowhere in an evolving space where there's a lot of mutations to cybercrime. There is no way you can solve it without definitely having the right equipment. More so, there's no way you can solve it without having contacts within the the international community that would help you solve these crimes. For example, you may need to access some global database for crimes that are originating from abroad, and you may need to have those contacts. Yes, sometimes I think we are over-centralizing the control of these gadgets and these portals because they want a certain specific group to to have that, to be able to do that, so that you can put things in check. I'll give you context. My phone was missing, and I had the IMEI number. I wanted to track the phone to see if it's on any network. It has to go all the way to the DSS in Abuja. I think, DSS actually wanted to do it, but police as well. I had some contacts that, I went through the whole ranks, and it was a central intelligence unit that were, able to help me with that, that problem. And although before they tracked it, the phone, I think, had gone into, it had vanished, basically. I think they would have taken out the parts and sold it separately. But the thing is, I found out something, that the tracking was done by a central team. And maybe it is done that way to make sure people don't use it for clandestine reasons. Because imagine if you had, you say, a rogue agent at the local station, for example. Let's just give it a context. And that agent was open to being able to use access to sophisticated equipment that can do triangulation and put you 20 meters away from your property. And then that agent had to use that on their local device and use that for a different purpose than it was intended. You can imagine the damage that could do to people. So I think they've done it that way so that only a small set of people, and there's a lot of documentation leading to that particular use.
Okay. That's very well said. Now, this brings me to my next question. How then can law enforcement and private entities collaborate effectively while adhering to, this is it, privacy laws and regulations, especially concerning data sharing?
I think there's always room for proactive data sharing, and I think what we should be having is, do we have the right place to share that information? I'm going to give you context now. I witnessed something happen on one of my routes in Lagos, and it was a crime. And I walked in to make a report. It was very difficult, really, to make, because it was something that was persistently happening at that point and during those morning hours. And I went to make a report at the police station close by. And the first problem I had was even having a police station admit that it was within their jurisdiction. When you finish describing it, this police station will tell you, no, go to this police station and report. It's not within our jurisdiction. The next one will tell you, go to this one. And then the next one will say, oh, where do you live? You live in this location. Go to your own police station and report. Then they will take it from there. And then the biggest problem I had was the issue of, writing a statement and then, in fact, being made to be treated as if I was even the criminal. That was the second thing I had. And then there was this talks about, okay, for you to open a file, this is how much you have to pay. In fact, I walked out of there just shaking my head, thinking this is not worth it, right? So the truth is, a lot of private entities are willing to share information, but how do you share that information that it will solve crimes, but it will not make you to go through unnecessary stress?
Yeah.
That's the first thing to even worry about. Because my experience, I'd rather just call a policeman that I have a good contact with and say, this is what I think. I would never have to work into a police station and report any case. I'll give you another context, just something a bit separate. I had a friend of mine on the highway, and someone knocked down someone on the car, and the person was bleeding to death. He stopped by to pick the guy to the hospital. On going to the hospital, the doctors decided to proactively inform the police. The police came in. Whilst this guy was unconscious, police arrested the helper and said they have to post bail for themselves.
That's unfortunate. That's very unfortunate. Now let's take a look at these two scenarios you just painted. You've lived abroad a lot, especially the UK. Is this what happens over there? Or is it easier for you to share information like you wanted to do? And is it easier for people to help victims like your friend wanted to do? Are you there, doctor? Okay, I think we're having network issues.
I even wanted him to make some clarities about this. We have privacy laws in this country. There's right to privacy.
Yeah.
So where does it stop? Where does that data sharing breach, where does it stop? Because I know big techs like Apple, they are very big on privacy.
Yeah.
Data sharing, they don't even do it. So where does that, how do the police gather this data? Okay. Oh, well, we do apologize for that. So how do the police and other agencies, how do they gather data without breaching
the
privacy laws? Yes, because we have to also remember that every Nigerian has the right to privacy, and all that. But we do apologize that, we could not get him back due to some network issues. But we'll go on a short break, and while we come back, of course, we'll take trending stories. So stay tuned.
As a child, what is most important to you is love, warmth, acceptance, and security. But as you grow, there is a paradigm shift in the way you approach life. The interest you lose in some things, you peak in other things. Sometimes, the road is smooth. Other times, it is rough. Every step of the way comes with a new hurdle to scale. You win some, you lose some. You laugh hard, you cry hard, but at the end, you look back with a fulfilling smile and say, "What a ride." High Impact Television equips you with what you need every step of the way.
High Impact Radio 102.1 FM. The future is now.
baya ba za ka ji daɗi ba kaga cinyan da ake wasa
baki bai ku ta malam
kun da Allah a'a baki za ka mare
baba lie down baba lie down lie down why san ka nan kai
na gode
lie down kada iske yaro ne kire
aka
Now, that was a very alarming video. So, and I need to give you context, right? A shocking incident of bullying that was reported at Beautiful Beginning Academy in Abuja, where a junior student was allegedly chained and abused by a group of senior secondary school SS3 students in the school hostel. Now, the incident has sparked widespread outrage and calls for justice, with many condemning the act on social media. Now, the school administration has released a statement condemning the incident and promising to take necessary steps to ensure student safety, while authorities have launched an investigation. Now, the incident has raised concerns about student safety and security in Nigerian schools, with many calling for increased vigilance and stricter measures to prevent bullying and abuse. This is heartbreaking. A human being was chained and made to act like a dog, with very abusive words said to him. Now, you saw him at the end. He looked like he had fainted. I was even asking Olumide if he was dead. How does he recover from this traumatic experience, Olumide?
To think that slave trade was abolished several
centuries
years
ago,
and look at what. What picture are we painting outside, Africa, outside the country?
That's him there.
It's dehumanizing to see another human and put chains around his neck. It tells a lot about those students that were doing this, those SS3 students, who they will go out to become, and their perception about other humans, or people below them, or people they feel are beneath them. It's a whole lot, and you begin to wonder what teachers or what schools are teaching students these days. Yeah. Maybe we should have studies or subjects that teach on humanity, basically. Empathy.
Now, this thing about bullying did not just start. This year we've had instances of cases. Yeah, in fact, a case of bullying, the child died. Yes. His mother died not too long ago.
Yes.
Now, when you have cases of bullying, what happens to the culprits? What happens to them when you begin to call these people when they are brought to book? They begin to serve as deterrent. So I think leaders must begin to take a serious look at issues like this. We have comments. We have comments online. Let's begin to take a look at what people are saying. Let's see now. All right, Olumide, you want to do
Yes, this one is the bearded VK. He says, another case of bullying again. Until a stringent measure is taken towards bullies, it's not going to end soon. I quite agree. Chuk said it's quite unfortunate. Sharon says, Chinekema. This is so disheartening, very disheartening. Chooks also replied saying, as in Umaka well, I think that's in Igbo. Vivian, I don't know. Well,
Yeah, that's
can't
Igbo.
read it.
Then there's a Vivian there.
Yeah,
who
there's a
says,
Vivian there.
This senior student bullying culture has to stop, has
Yes.
to end. What if, this is true. In boarding houses, seniors are always bullying juniors. It's a culture that must be stopped.
It must be abolished. Let's see. We have President Eniola Daniel says, let your child know that you are capable of leaving everything behind to fight for them, and they can always reach out to you. Yes. You bully my child and you will pay for it. Also teach your children some basic skills to counter bully. Now, Farida Kiri says, parents, please always follow up on your children's behavior. Any small changes should be properly checked, especially for those that have kids in boarding schools. This bullying of a thing is not funny at all. Now, Abu Maigo says, this is not supposed to be happening on the 24th year of the 21st century.
Yeah.
But the kind of shege we see in boarding schools, mouth no go fit talk complete. Over 20 years, I still have scars. I think I still have scars on my back from seniors.
Can you imagine, over 20 years ago? There's this thing one of the contributors said about a scapegoat. There must be a scapegoat. Also, parents of bullies, what are you doing? When you know your child is a bully, don't support them. You have to call them. Oh gosh,
I think we should have rehabilitation and counseling established in schools for this kind of people. So when you do this kind of act, I mean, they really need rehabilitation, because they've really gone off the rail to do this to a human being. And I feel schools, I mean, abroad, there's what they call detention and all that. You go to a particular place, you go for counseling and all that, to teach you to reframe your mind back to what it's supposed to be like. I mean, this is very gruesome.
No,
I can imagine how the parents of this child will feel watching their own child be subjected to this kind of...
And the worst thing is, this thing has gone viral. Well, maybe it's a blessing in disguise, because I'm thinking and know for sure this will be taken very seriously.
And I think this senior-junior thing needs to stop.
You said abolish. I think that's the right word.
Yeah, abolish. It needs to be abolished. I think right now, only teachers should even be permitted to punish junior students.
Teachers shouldn't even... Teachers, you heard the case of a teacher who flogged the student to death. Yes. So what is punishment and what is correction? Should we be talking about punishment or correction? Really? Even the teachers, they should be checked.
But this is where we would stop there. But I think this is a message also to the government, calling on the government to have stricter rules in our schools, to also, the Minister of Education, to also keep an eye on our schools. I mean, it's becoming too rampant. It's getting too much. It's getting out of hand. And this is part of the reason why parents prefer to, take their wards to private schools or take them even out of the country. I mean, it's their safety that comes first. But this is where we will stop right now. We'll go on a short break, and while we're at it, we'll take weather forecast. Stay tuned.
and it's a wrap on the Breakfast Cafe today. Thank you so much for being a part of the show. I want to say big thanks to Michael, Dr. Dayo Adedayo, and to every single person that jumped on the show with us today. We say thank you so much. Oh, Dr. Wisdom Anang, thank you too. To the producer, to the technical crew, to everybody that contributed to making the show a success. Big thanks to you. But the bigger thanks goes to you for watching. If you liked it, keep a date with us again, same time, same station. Until then, I am Vivian Oguche. Bye.
It's been a pleasure staying with us. Don't forget you can also follow us and engage us on all our social media pages at High Impact Studios, at High Impact TV, and the Breakfast Cafe _. I am Olumide Shokoya. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Something big is in town. Something powerful and majestic. A mammoth creation.